Hey, welcome to the Peace and Love podcast. Peace and love at ya. You're here with Siva, and today I'm going to talk about the 30-day grape detox that I did, the grape cure, if you will. So let's get into it. So the point of this was to have a little experiment. What's going to happen if I ate grapes only for 30 days? Now, this grape cure has been said to cure cancer. And before we get into this podcast, I want to tell you I know nothing. So talk to your people, talk to yourself, and really do your own research because this is just my experience from my own personal life. And again, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice at all. Now that we've covered the basics, let's get into my experience and how this could possibly help you. So, the reason I really did the grape detox is it all starts with my dad sending me a video. As per usual, my dad puts me on the most incredible things. He said, Siva, you have to watch this podcast. And I know when he says that, he really means it. So he sent me a podcast. It was the Pomp podcast. And his guest was Elle Scott. And I watched her on there and I didn't know if everything that she was saying was true, and I didn't really even have any background into what she was talking about. But this lady just really resonated with me. And you could tell she was just a high consciousness person. And I always say, by their fruits you shall know them. And I thought, I want to work with this lady. The worst that happens is I end up like her, and that would be amazing. Just the way that this lady, I don't know, just everything about her, the way that she talked, how she thought, the way that she looked. I knew this was someone that I would really like to work with. So I went on showmeyourset.com and booked a iridology reading with Elle. And this is not sponsored, by the way. This is just me explaining how this all happened. And I paid and I got my eye read. This woman was able to look at a picture of my eye and tell my entire body's health. And if you ask conventional science, Western medicine, they would say, oh, iridology is quackery and it's not real. Well, then how was she able to tell me things about my body only I would know and see exactly how everything was playing out within my body and be able to tell me symptoms that I was currently experiencing and things I had experienced in the past? That's also something you want to look into if you're interested in this, because this iridology is so interesting and it taught me so much, really. Some of the results were surprising, some of it made sense, but the overall message was, yo, you're really on the acidic side right now. And it's easy to fix because of where I was at, but my stomach had a lot of acidity in it. I had been going to a functional medicine doctor after I found out I had lead poisoning. That's a whole podcast on its own. But the functional medicine doctor was saying you need to have acid in your stomach, yada yada. So I took the advice and did his path for a while. And while that doctor may not have had the highest truth to give me, I do want to say I'm so grateful for that journey. I'm so grateful that I found out I had lead poisoning and went through that, because that was a whole radical change in itself. And it really got me prepared for this phase. So after doing my own research, looking at what she said about my eye, and hearing about all this other symptoms I'm experiencing, that's all being caused by being a little too acidic, I decided, go hard or go home. We're doing a 30-day grape cleanse. Now, you don't have to be this intense. There's levels of detoxification, and you can do all fruits, you can do some fruit. I mean, the different paths are quite literally endless. So, it's definitely pick your own journey, but there's something to eating this fruit, guys, and I really hope that you all can just hear me out about this without putting your own judgment into it too quickly, because I completely get it. If you think this is nuts, I would have said the same thing if you had talked to me a couple months ago. I'm not going to lie. But if you really start looking into it, it makes a lot of sense. I know that eating a whole diet of fruits is like the opposite of what everyone says to do. And our own food pyramid says that's a terrible idea. Most of us know that there's something that's not quite right with that food pyramid, but I wouldn't have guessed that fruits was the answer until I kind of fell down this rabbit hole. So please just hear me out for your sake. Especially with health things, we cannot afford to put things off and not even give them a second thought, because look around, look at the state of America, look at the ingredients that are in our food, look at the obesity problem that we have. There's something so wrong going on right now, and what can we do to fix it? Well, my answer is we need to do a little bit of detoxification. Before we get into my results with the grape diet, there's some things I need to let you know. My results will be different from yours in any case, but before I went on this diet, I was not eating a very heavily acidic diet. I've never had meat in my life. I know that surprises a lot of people, so before you're wondering, no, I've never had hamburger, I've never had fish, I've never had any of that things that you're wondering about. So the only real damage I've had from meat is from my mom, because she ate meat when she was pregnant with me and she breastfed me while eating meat. And all the damage I really had was from earlier in life, because I was eating pretty poorly when I was younger, which is fine. I'm grateful for the time I had eating poorly, because now that's not really an option, you know? Once you know, you know. Can't close your third eye. So that being said, my detox was not all that severe. Now, if you put someone with, say, cancer on this diet, yeah, they would probably have a completely different reaction than I did. The most challenging part of this for me was actually acquiring the grapes. I'm not somewhere where you can get seeded organic grapes. So my mentor, Elle, said to get organic grapes. I could get organic grapes here, but they were a real challenge to find, and towards the end, I was not finding them hardly as much as I was toward the beginning. So before you jump right into this, make sure you find a good place to source grapes. Maybe look at an organic mart that's local and gets from farmers. Look at health food stores. Look at, your international markets, Asian market, Mexican market, wherever you can. But know that that might be a thing for you. The best grapes you can get are seeded organic grapes. And let me answer some frequently asked questions. I would tell people about this, and they would pretty much all have the same questions for me. So, first of all, well, what about diabetes? And isn't fruit really high in sugar? This seems like a bad idea. So, to answer that, we have to understand that there are different types of sugar, obviously, but even deeper than that, there are different types of sugar naturally. So, what fruit is a monosaccharide, and it's a simple sugar. Your body knows exactly what to do with it. You're not wasting all this energy trying to process things. And that leads us to the second question. Well, what about protein? What are you doing for proteins? So let's think about it. What is a protein? A protein is an amino acid. And I'm going to explain this by thinking of a little blockchain. So think of 3 blocks: B, C, A. So your body gets that complex protein, BCA. That's the complex. And it has to rip that apart and make it ABC. So you end up using a lot of energy with your body trying to rearrange all these amino acids to make it to a point where it's usable. But when you just ingest the simple amino acids, you have the A, B, and C there already. So it's actually letting your body do its job, because it's not digesting food all day. And your body's not using all of its energy just trying to make the food that you've put into it usable. And really, what blew my mind about this is look at how we are made. Look at our actual physical bodies. If you look at a true meat eater like a cat, the intestines are different. Cats have claws. We do not have claws. If we wanted to eat meat, we have to build tools. We get in trouble when we start using man-made tools, things like chairs and stairs. These things aren't actually good for our body. We have a natural way of sitting and a natural way of walking up an incline. So when we have to start getting tools to do things, that is a little bit questionable. We don't have a natural nails like a cat does to hunt and get our food. Look at our teeth. We don't have meat eating teeth. Our teeth are flat. And on a spiritual, non physical level, it's interesting the concept of getting sustenance from an animal by taking its life. On a lower level, people do this with cannibalism. They think that they can rise in the spiritual hierarchy by taking another's life force energy. And we know at a higher consciousness, that's not how it works. You can't just take someone's life force energy and get their prana from it. That's not the way of the universe. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat meat. I'm just saying let's look at it a little bit more, because the thing about our bodies is so simple, but I never thought about it. And I'm not trying to be on some moralistic, you should not kill an animal, etc., etc. But it's interesting to note how our bodies are made and what that has to say about what we need. My family eats meat. I'm around meat eaters all the time. I don't judge it. I'm just saying let's look at it from a different angle and let's really try to get to a higher level of truth on this. You look at our bodies, we are built like frugivores. We have the anatomy to pick a fruit from the tree. We don't have the long neck to drink from the stream. When you're trying to drink from a stream without tools, you have to use your hand and it doesn't work very well. We have the anatomy to pick a fruit, get our food and our water from a fruit. The other question I kept getting asked was, do you have enough energy? So let's get into my detox symptoms and what that was actually like only eating grapes for 30 days. I say only eating grapes, but I was eating herbs as well. I had got the Fab 4 from Dr. Morse, and I was taking a heavy metals tincture and a lung tea blend because in my iridology report, the other thing that came up was my lungs were pretty damaged from when I used to be a heavy cannabis smoker. So that was the other things I was taking. I put lime on my grapes one time at the beginning just because that's astringent too, but I did that once. So the rest of the time, I took my herbs with water that had a little bit of Himalayan sea salt, and that was all that I ate. The reason that grapes work so well for detoxification is because of their astringent nature. The grapes are pretty aggressive and they go in and really pull and get out everything that needs to be detoxified, all that acid and guck in your system. Bottom line, I'm going to get into all of the things I have noticed that have changed because of this grape detox. And I'm going to start with all of the good things. So the first thing is I have noticed a clear increase in my consciousness, my energy level, my life force energy, if you will. Now, do I think that's solely from eating grapes? No. I think that's the combination of everything that I've been doing in my life, and grapes fit into that frequency, if that makes sense. It's a symptom, not the cause. But what is cause and effect? So, could grapes increase your consciousness? I'm not saying no. When you're eating fruit, you are eating life, high consciousness food, and high consciousness begets high consciousness. Another thing I did during this grape fast was I picked up my old book called A Complaint Free World, and I've been on a complaint free journey, which deserves its own podcast as well. But this went so well with the grape fast because whenever you're experiencing physical discomfort, it can be easy to complain to the nearest listener. But when you don't give your attention to that, the likelihood of any symptoms sticking around is little. And I also wasn't a bother to anyone else. This was my detox, not anyone else's. And the happiness that has come from not complaining is astounding. Like I said, everything that I'm doing is fitting into this higher frequency reality, and the grapes are no exception. With that non physical lightness that comes from ascending in consciousness, I have actually experienced a lightness in physical world as well. So I did lose 23 pounds during this whole grape fast. And this was surprising to me. I've never looked at the scale and seen that number that was on the scale. And I didn't weigh throughout the process because it really wasn't about weight, and I felt beautiful at both weights and in between. I honestly didn't even know that I changed all that much in weight. I could tell because my clothing was feeling a little different, but people around me definitely noticed. Looking back on pictures, I see now, oh wow, I did have a little bit of excess to lose, and I didn't realize how much I was holding on to. And this fits into this grape diet too. A lot of it has to do with letting go. All of that stuff in your body that's no longer serving you, not just on a physical level, but on a non physical level. And like I said in my breathwork podcast, that happened to fall on the last day of my detox. And that was really fitting because when you're letting go of things that are physical, this is also a non physical journey. You got to let go of some other things too. So, definitely, this was a journey of letting go and evolving into a higher version of self. The next thing I've noticed is my skin is glowing. I am very glowy. My skin is super clear. I don't really have problems with a lot of acne. I have in the past, and I did have eczema when I was younger. And it did flare up a little bit of eczema, but it very quickly went away. These things are probably going to get aggravated a little bit because it's getting cured. This sickness is the cure. You don't want to repress things that are actually helping you. So I did notice a flare up in hand eczema, and now I'm have really clear hands, which that is something that I had been experiencing for a while, just having like seasonal eczema. Another thing I've noticed is my nails are growing. I was worried about this. I was like, well, if I'm, deficient in whatever, my nails are going to like break and be brittle. But no, they have grown and they're very strong, stronger than I would have anticipated. Another thing people were asking me was, are you having cravings for food? And I think this is back to that non physical aspect again. So you might experience some cravings if you do this. Now, whether this is from a deficiency or something else is up for debate. I would venture to say that a lot of the cravings that people have, it's not because they want something dense in nutrients. It's because they have a pocket of craving energy within them that dictates what they are going to do. A lot of us know people eat when they're bored. It's the same thing. When you get grapes every single day, you might get bored of eating grapes. Now, part of this journey is being very intuitive and saying if you don't want grapes, don't eat grapes. You're not supposed to force yourself to eat grapes. Just fast for a while. The body knows exactly what it needs. But if you're thinking that you're hungry for this, that, and the third, I would tell you experience those cravings fully and watch how they dissolve, because these pockets of energy are just things that you need to get access to when they come up and dissolve them. I went to a couple restaurants when I was on this grape diet, and having like chips in front of me, it brought up a craving for chips. Now, did I really need chips? No, but it brought up that energy of wanting, 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 and I was able to just deal with it then and there instead of having those feelings direct what I eat and when I eat. Americans, especially, we have this demand for food that is like fast, 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 instant gratification. We eat with our TVs on, even. The majority of people haven't sat in silence and ate a meal in a very long time. And this just goes to show our relationship with food in general and what we think we know about food. So, for your own sake, don't mistake boredom and needing a dopamine hit for a craving because it's really not the same. We have really tied together food and dopamine in our culture on a deep, deep level. And obviously, when you eat food, it releases dopamine already. But I'm talking about dopamine stacking, where you've got the food that releases dopamine, but now you can't eat without watching TV. You can't eat without getting your beer. You can't eat without all of these external things. I knew some people who couldn't eat without getting high. It's just all of these things that we end up dopamine stacking for no reason. People wonder, why am I hungry all the time? Well, it's because your brain is addicted to this dopamine and it really wants you to go and take another hit of whatever your eating ritual is. So I also highly encourage just start eating in silence. If that seems like a big challenge, just take it a piece at a time. So now let's get into my energy levels. During this grape fast, I was shocked at how much energy I had. I had energy out the wazoo. So one day I think I was on day 5, and I had gone to work. Then I went to the gym. Then I went to basketball. Then I went on a walk. And the gym through the basketball was 3:30 to 9:30. So I was, up and at it for 6 hours. This is just, you know, unheard of for most people on a regular diet. They can't go to work, then go work out, then do play with their kids. I did experience a couple days of low energy, but it could have also been from staying up late. It could have been from the grape diet. I don't know. But most days I was at a good energy level and I felt good. There was one time I did go to the gym and I got up on the bar to do a dead hang and I felt lightheaded. It kind of scared me because that was the only time that this happened during the grape fast. And I was at the gym on a fast, which I have never done before. That could have possibly been the cause. I actually went hiking on a fast as well and broke my fast during the hike. So maybe take it easy. I do want to say this is a detox and you might not be feeling like running around like I was. You might be in a deep detox and really need to just sit down. Speaking of sit down and be in a big detox, I wrote down the days where I was just purging mucus, and it was only about a day long. So I would wake up and I would be like full of mucus, and then that night I would be blowing my nose all through the night. And it's funny because that was on day 4, day 14, and then day 24. I could not make that up. I don't know what's the deal with the fours, but on those days I was just getting rid of so much mucus. And it was like I was sick, but I wasn't having any other symptom of being sick. It was just like, I need to blow my nose. My nose is running. I'm getting rid of this green mucus. Another thing people have asked me about over and over again is my poop. So to answer that, it was fine. And I actually think that one of the supplements, the herbal supplements I was taking, was really making me like detox or need to get rid of something because I would take it and then in the next 20 minutes I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. So I slowed down on taking that and just let myself have regular movements, and they were fine. But beyond that, that was the only thing that was irregular, and I was having, regular movements. The most important thing about this grape diet is that you make sure that your kidney is filtering. So the way that you do that is by peeing in a jar, and you want to see the cellular waste in there. If you don't have cellular waste in there, then where's your cellular waste going? So that was also something I was keeping my eye on. Lastly, for symptoms, my lips were cracking at the sides, and I have been dealing with this for years. And usually I just drink water and eventually it goes away. But this was ongoing through the process, through like day 4 to day 24. And I was nervous. I was like, am I deficient in something? So I muscle tested, and my muscle testing said that just the tissue was healing and it needed time to heal. Well, lo and behold, on day about 24, it finally did heal, but that was the only thing I was really concerned about. And it makes sense, that stuff needs to flare up to be cured. Now, I am eating an astringent diet still. I broke that grape fast about 5 days ago, and I've only ate like citrusy fruits. And I do feel something in my lips, so maybe I'm still detoxing. I'm not sure. But I think it's really important to have tools like muscle testing so you can know from your own inner wisdom whether something is right or wrong. So I don't claim to know on that one, but that is something that I did notice, the cracks in the side of my lips. But hopefully I will get over this one. And when I got over that patch, it wasn't happening again. So I think that there's still a little bit to detox and I will be back and good as new because everything else with my skin came up and out and was not reoccurring. So in short, I felt really good the whole time. High energy. I had a great experience on the grape diet. My skin is glowing, my nails are growing, my energy is high, and the only thing I really did not like was my lips breaking. I lost 23 pounds and I feel lighter in general. Honestly, I would recommend to my close family member to go ahead and do this because I know the results and the changes in my body are incredible. If you would like the complete how-to on the grape detox, I would get the book The Grape Cure by Johanna Brandt. If you'd like to research more, you can look up my iridologist, L. Scott, at showmeyourset.com. You can talk to I am Dylan Rivas 111. He does one-on-one health coaching. Research people like Dr. Morse, ND, Dr. Sabi, Yaki Awakened, and even Sadhguru talks about this. There are so many people who are so much more knowledgeable than me in this, and they will go into great detail explaining and helping you on a level that I did not even get to touch today. So please don't stop looking here. I wish you immense health and abundant prosperity. Peace and love at ya.